So far this semester, we've been looking forward. Everything we've done has been designed to help us figure out what to do next in our writing projects, what the next steps to take are. We've learned about how to write more effectively. How do I revise my paper? How do I incorporate outside sources into my writing? How do I structure my papers? And how do I convince my readers? This is really what this class is all about, learning to write better. But part of what being in a class means is that we also have to think about what happens at the end. How is our writing going to be assessed? How is our writing going to be evaluated? That's what I want to talk a little bit about today. Before we start looking at the rubric itself, though, we need to review the idea of course outcomes. As we discussed at the very beginning of the semester, every course at College of the Sequoias has a list of expectations students must meet in order to pass the course. This list comes from the college, and it's the same for every section no matter who's teaching it. These expectations are called course outcomes, and you should be able to find those outcomes on every syllabus you receive this semester. Our course outcomes are listed on our syllabus, and they're really important to how our portfolios are graded. You'll notice that each outcome contains a crucial phrase: students will be able to. This is kind of the whole point of a course outcome. It's a statement about what a passing student should be able to do. These outcomes are relatively simple, ostensibly direct lists of skills that students must demonstrate in order to pass a class. Because of this, these are also the outcomes on which future classes are based. If you take English 2 next semester, your instructor for English 2 will assume that you're going to be able to do all of the things on this list as a student who passed English 1. And this is why course outcomes are so important, and why our portfolio rubric is based on our course outcomes. In traditional points-based grading systems, we figure out what grade we get by taking the amount of points possible and dividing into that the amount of points we received for a course. As you'll see in a moment, there are some pretty big problems with this system when it comes to thinking about whether or not students have learned everything they need in a given class. Let me show you what I mean a little bit more practically. Let's imagine that we're taking a class called Alphabet 101. And let's imagine that the outcomes for Alphabet 101 are as follows. Given a pen and paper, students will be able to write the letters of the alphabet. Hopefully, at this point in our academic careers, we've already mastered this. But let's imagine that that's what we're supposed to be learning in this class. As you know, there are 26 letters in the alphabet. So let's imagine in Alphabet 101, we're pretty good at most of the alphabet, but there are some letters that we just can't quite get the hang of. A, E, N, O, R, and S. It's only 6. Not too bad, right? And if we look at our grade in Alphabet 101 through the lens of the traditional points-based grading system, it doesn't look that bad. 20 out of 26 works out to 77%, which by most standards is a C+. Pretty good. But let's imagine that after completing Alphabet 101, you have to take a class where you have to write whole words. You can see how that's going to be a pretty difficult task if you're missing those 6 letters. In the unlikely event that you have to write a note to warn someone that your grandmother is on fire and ask for help, here's how it comes out if we take out those 6 letters. That note probably isn't going to bring a whole lot of people running to help. So you can see why, in this situation, even a 77%, a C+, is really not all that meaningful. Mathematically, it may look like I've done okay in this class, but in fact, some crucial things that I need in order to succeed in the next class in this sequence are missing from my skill set. If we look at it in terms of the course outcomes, though, clearly, this expectation is one that I haven't yet met. That doesn't mean I didn't learn anything. It doesn't mean that I didn't learn a lot. But it does mean that this minimum standard is one that I haven't yet met. This is why I use the course outcomes the way that I do in my portfolio grading. The statements on our list of outcomes for English 1 represent the minimum of what we need to be able to do in order to pass English 1. Because of that, I base my portfolio assessment on making sure that you have each of those minimum skills represented in the work that you submit to your portfolio. Here's how this will work in practice when I'm actually grading your portfolios. For each outcome listed on the syllabus, I'll have to answer the question, does the portfolio demonstrate this skill? If the answer is yes, that's all there is to it. For the final portfolio to pass, you'll need to get a yes on all 5 outcomes. If your portfolio doesn't demonstrate that skill, I'll say no. And I'll also give you some specific reasons from the outcome to show why I had to say no. The portfolio rubric is up on the website now, and you'll be able to see for each of the outcomes the reasons that I have listed why I might have to say no to a given portfolio. We'll look at the rubric and those reasons more in the weeks to come. But now's a good time for you to start taking a look at the different parts of each outcome that I'll be looking at when I assess your portfolio.